The cell was small, dark, and silent, except for the faint hum of alien machines. Chains rattled whenever the prisoner moved. He was human. His clothes were torn, his face bruised, but his eyes were calm, sharp, and unbroken. The aliens who had captured him did not understand this silence. To them, prisoners begged, screamed, and wept. But this one sat still, waiting, watching. His name was not important to them, only the fact that he was the first human they had ever taken alive. For the Empire, it was supposed to be a victory. For the galaxy, it was supposed to be a warning. But none of them knew what it truly meant. The alien commander, a towering figure with skin like polished stone, entered the cell. His soldiers stood behind him, their weapons ready. He stared at the human as if looking at an insect trapped in a jar. "You will answer," the commander said in a deep, echoing voice. "Tell us what your species hides. Tell us your military secrets, or you will suffer." The human did not flinch. He leaned back against the wall, chains clinking softly. Then, slowly he smiled. That smile was the first mistake the Empire ignored. The commander frowned. "Do you think this is a game primitive?" He raised a clawed hand, and the soldiers stepped closer. The human's smile only widened. "You made a mistake," he whispered. His voice was steady, come to calm for a prisoner in chains. The commander ignored the words. Torture began. Hours passed. The human was cut, burned, and shocked with strange alien tools. Yet he did not scream. He did not beg. He did not break. He only repeated the same quiet phrase. "You made a mistake." News of this strange prisoner spread quickly through the ship. Soldiers whispered in the halls. Why did the human not cry out? Why did he look at them as if they were the ones trapped? Even hardened warriors began to avoid his gaze. Something about him unsettled them. In the control room, the officers studied intercepted human messages. They had expected panic from Earth after the capture. Instead, the signals they decoded were calm, methodical, almost cold. Ships were moving, codes were being sent, yet the humans had made no demands for the prisoner's release. Not one plea, not one negotiation. The alien officers grew uneasy. Why would a species abandon their own? Unless the human in chains already knew the answer. He sat in silence, listening to the faint thrum of the alien warship. Every vibration told him something. The size of the vessel, the speed, the engine type. 8 counted guards, studied patterns, and mapped every detail in his mind. But he was not waiting to be rescued. He was waiting for the right moment. And far away in the black of space, human warships were already moving like wolves closing in on prey. The Empire thought they had captured a symbol of victory. Instead, they had taken the spark of their own destruction. They did not understand that humanity never left one of their own behind. They did not understand that the silence, the smile, and the calm voice of the prisoner were not signs of weakness but warnings. One guard, a young alien soldier, could not stand it anymore. He confronted the human late in the night shift. "Do you smile?" he asked, voice trembling. "Why do you not fear us?" The human looked at him with steady eyes. "Because you don't know what's coming." The soldier felt his blood run cold. Alarms began to sound in the ship only hours later. Unknown signals appeared on the scanners. Something massive was entering the system. Something fast, coordinated, and armed. The officers scrambled, shouting, "Orders!" but it was already too late. The human prisoner closed his eyes and listened. The deep rumble of alien engines was suddenly joined by a new, sound-distant thunder, sharp and growing louder. "Human thunder," he whispered to himself barely. Audible, "They're here." That was when the Empire realized the truth. Taking one human prisoner was not a victory. It was a death sentence, and it had only just begun. The alarms screamed across the alien warship, echoing through the steel halls. Red lights flashed. Soldiers ran in confusion, shouting commands, but no one knew what was happening. The scanners showed multiple signals, fast and closing in. They were human ships. The alien commander stormed into the control room, rage twisting his stone-like face. "Impossible," he growled. "Humans do not have fleets in this sector. They cannot even travel this far without aid." But the screens did not lie. Shadows of steel moved in formation, sharp and deliberate, cutting across the void of space. Human warships down in the prison cell. The human prisoner heard the alarm and opened his eyes. He smiled again, the same calm, steady smile that had haunted the guards for days. "Right on time," he whispered. Two guards burst into the room, weapons raised, fear in their eyes. One aimed his rifle. "What did you do?" he demanded. The prisoner only tilted his head. "I told you, you made a mistake." The guards hesitated. They did not know if they should kill him now or keep him alive for their commander. That hesitation was their second mistake. In the control room, chaos spread. Reports shouted over one another. "Human fleet. Larger than expected. Weapons locked on us?" The commander barked orders. "Shields up. All guns ready. Show these primitives what an Empire ship can do." The alien warship was huge, built for intimidation, could crush smaller races with ease. But the humans had not come with one ship, or even two. They had come with an entire strike fleet, small, fast, and deadly. The first volley shook the alien vessel. Explosions rippled across its hull. Systems flickered. The soldiers froze in disbelief. No enemy had ever dared strike them first. Yet the humans did not hesitate. Their attack was precise, merciless. In the cell, the human prisoner listened as the floor beneath him shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. He leaned forward. His chains rattled, but his voice was calm. "That sound. Coming for me." The younger guard who had spoken to him earlier stared with wide eyes. He whispered, "You knew this would happen." The prisoner gave him a steady look. "I didn't need to know. I just had to trust. It's what you'll never understand." The ship rocked again. A loud blast tore through the lower decks. Soldiers screamed as fire spread. The commander gritted his teeth, slamming a fist onto the console. "Focus all fire on the human ships," he shouted. But every attempt to strike back was met with faster, sharper counters. The humans fought like hunters who had been waiting for this exact moment. Back in the prison block, chaos spread as emergency sirens blared. Guards abandoned their posts to defend the ship. Only two remained near the prisoner. One raised his weapon, hand shaking. "If the ship falls, you fall with it." The prisoner leaned close, chains clinking. His voice was low but steady. "If this ship falls, it won't be me who dies screaming." The guard hesitated. Fear crept into his alien eyes. He had fought many species before, but never one like this. This human was not begging for life. He was waiting for the inevitable. The lights flickered, then died. Darkness swallowed the prison hall. Only the red emergency glow remained. From somewhere deep in the ship, the sound of tearing metal echoed, like the claws of a beast ripping into its prey. The prisoner stood slowly, chains still binding his hands, but his posture unshaken. He closed his eyes, listening. Every explosion. Outside was closer, every strike more precise. He knew his people. They weren't just attacking. They were aiming for him. And then it happened. The wall to the prison chamber shook violently. Dust rained down. A piercing beam of blue light cut through the metal. The guards panicked, shouting in fear. The human only smiled again. The wall exploded inward, and figures stepped through the smoke, armored, armed, and unmistakably human. The prisoner's smile finally broke into a grin. "Took you long enough," he said. The lead soldier's helmet tilted. His voice crackled through the coms. "We don't leave our own behind." Guards froze, trembling, then dropped their weapons. They realized too late that the Empire had underestimated not just human strength, but human loyalty. The prisoner was freed, his chains falling to the ground with a heavy clatter. The rescuers handed him a weapon. He gripped it tightly, his eyes cold. "Now," he said, looking back toward the burning halls of the alien ship, "let's finish this." And for the first time, the Empire felt true fear, because this was no rescue. This was the beginning of their doom. The alien warship burned from within. Explosions shook its vast corridors, sending smoke rolling through every level. Sirens wailed, voices shouted, footsteps thundered, as soldiers scrambled to fight enemies they could not see fast enough. But the humans were already inside. The rescued prisoner moved with his squad, armored soldiers surrounding him in formation. He was no longer bound, no longer silent. Now he carried a rifle in his hands, his movements sharp and precise. Every alien who saw him realized with terror that he was not broken by captivity. He had been waiting for this moment. Sector clear. A soldier's voice crackled through the comms as another hallway was secured. Bodies of alien guards lay across the floor. The squad pressed forward. The prisoner's eyes were cold. Days of torture had left scars on his body, but his spirit was untouched. He had memorized the ship during captivity, the routes of guards, the hum of engines, the faint vibrations of weapon systems. Now that knowledge guided the squad like a hidden map. Down this corridor, he whispered, pointing. The main power hub is close. Oh, the leader of the squad nodded. No one questioned him. He had been the prisoner, but now he was the guide. Far above, in the control room, the alien commander shouted over the chaos. They are inside the ship. Contain them. Voice was filled with rage, but beneath the fury was something new, fear. He had never imagined humans would strike so boldly so quickly. His empire had faced rebellions, uprisings, even wars, but never had an enemy cut into the heart of one of their warships within hours of a capture. Reports poured in. Human soldiers moving through the decks, security lines failing, communications jammed, and worst of all, the humans outside had not stopped their assault. The fleet still pressed forward, attacking with ruthless precision. The commander slammed his fist against the console. Crush them. Kill the prisoner if you must, but stop them. But it was already too late. In the lower decks, the prisoner and his rescuers reached the power hub. A massive room filled with glowing alien machinery pulsed with energy. 2 guards stood inside, their weapons trembling as the humans stormed in. Shots rang out. Sparks flew. The guards collapsed. The prisoner stepped forward, staring at the throbbing heart of the alien ship. He placed his hand on the console, feeling its vibrations. This ship is your pride, he whispered to himself. But today it becomes your tomb. He turned to the squad. Set charges. We're not leaving it behind intact. The soldiers obeyed quickly, planting explosives across the room. The prisoner watched in silence, his jaw tight, his eyes focused. He was no longer just a man freed from chains. He was the executioner of an empire's arrogance. The young alien guard, the one who had once asked why the humans smiled, stumbled into the room from a side door. He froze when he saw them. His weapon shook in his hands. For a moment, the prisoner and the young guard locked eyes. The guard's fear was clear. He had never faced death like this, never stood so close to someone who looked at him without fear. You should run, the prisoner said coldly. The guard's weapon clattered to the floor. Without a word, he turned and fled. The humans finished planting explosives. Charges ready, a soldier reported. The prisoner gave one last look at the glowing core. Then he spoke. Light it up. The team moved out quickly, retreating down the smoke-filled corridors. Explosions rocked the ship behind them, echoing like thunder. Lights flickered, then died. Whole sections of the vessel plunged into darkness. In the control room, panic erupted. Screens went black. Consoles sparked. Officers screamed as power systems collapsed one after another. The commander's voice roared in fury, but no one listened. His empire's warship, once a symbol of strength, was now breaking apart under human hands. The prisoner and his rescuers fought their way back to the docking bay. Alien reinforcements tried to stop them, but every squad was cut down. Human precision, human firepower, and human determination tore through the Empire's warriors. At last, the bay doors opened. Through the smoke, the shape of a human dropship appeared, waiting like a predator ready to bite. The squad rushed inside, the prisoner the last to enter. As the doors sealed behind him, he turned one final time toward the burning corridors. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. The dropship launched into the blackness of space. Behind it, the alien warship staggered, wounded and bleeding fire. Human ships surrounded it, their guns ready. The prisoner stood at the window. Watching the Empire's pride fall apart, his expression was unreadable, but his voice was cold and final. "You thought taking one human would break us. Instead, you woke something you cannot kill." And as the warship erupted into flames, the Empire realized the truth. Their arrogance had doomed them, because one prisoner was never just one. He was a signal, and humanity had answered. The wreck of the alien warship drifted in silence, broken and burning, as human ships circled like wolves around a dying beast. Pieces of its hull floated in the void, glowing with fire before vanishing into the dark. What had been the Empire's pride was now nothing more than debris, but the story did not end there, in the human flagship. The prisoner now free stood before the officers. His uniform was tattered, his body still marked with wounds, but his voice was steady. "They will not forget this," he said. "They will not forgive it. The Empire will come for us with everything they have." The captain of the flagship nodded grimly. "Then we'll be ready." The humans had struck fast and hard, but they all knew this was only the beginning. Taking down one warship was not. Victory was a message, a warning, and a spark that would ignite something far greater. Meanwhile, across the Empire, the news spread like wildfire. The mighty vessel Draxian's Ratha, a symbol of strength, had been destroyed. And worse, it had been destroyed by humans. Species that once trembled before the Empire began to whisper. Could the humans stand against them? Could the Empire be defeated? In the imperial capital, the High Council gathered in fury. The supreme ruler slammed his clawed hand against the table. "One human has undone centuries of fear," he snarled. "This insult will not stand. We will bring Earth to its knees." But not everyone in the chamber agreed. Some of the Empire's advisors shifted uneasily. They had seen the recordings. A single human had endured torture without breaking. A single prisoner had smiled in chains. And when his people came, they fought with a ferocity that shook even the Empire's strongest ship. Perhaps one counselor said softly, "We should reconsider underestimating them." The ruler turned on him with blazing eyes. "Reconsider. They are primitives. One victory means nothing." The voice thundered through the chamber. "We will crush them so completely that no race in the galaxy will ever forget the price of defiance." Orders went out. Fleets were prepared. Armies were raised. The Empire was ready to erase humanity. Back on the human flagship, the prisoner looked out the window at the stars. He knew what was coming. It will bring their full weight against us, he told the captain. Not tomorrow. Yes. Not next week. Soon, they cannot allow us to live after this humiliation. The captain studied him. "Then what do you suggest?" The prisoner's gaze was hard. "We don't wait. We strike first." The words hung in the air like steel. Humanity had always fought to defend itself. But now, something had changed. They were no longer simply defending. They were preparing to carry the war to the Empire. Outside, the fleet gathered. Ship after ship appeared, answering Earth's call. Small frigates, heavy cruisers, carriers filled with fighters. It was not the largest force the galaxy had ever seen, but it was united by something stronger than fear. It was bound by loyalty. Humanity never left their own behind. Then now they would not stop until the Empire understood that truth. But while the humans prepared, the Empire moved even faster. Deep within alien space, a massive fleet was being assembled. War drums echoed across the stars. Worlds under the Empire's banner were ordered to give soldiers, ships, and resources. No one dared refuse. In the shadows, smaller races watched with growing hope. If humans could fight back, perhaps others could too. For the first time in centuries, cracks appeared in the Empire's armor of terror. The prisoner walked the halls of the flagship, passing soldiers who saluted him with respect. To them, he was no longer just a survivor. He was the spark that lit the fire. Yet even he knew the truth: the war had only just begun, and humanity's survival was far from certain. Late that night, he stood alone in the observation deck, staring. At the endless black of space, his reflection looked back at him, scarred but unbroken. His words were quiet, almost a whisper. They thought taking one of us would break us. Now they will learn what happens when they take too much. Far away in the Empire's grand war halls, the Supreme Ruler raised his hand and gave the final command: send the fleet, burn their world, leave nothing alive. The fate of Earth had been sealed, but the galaxy would soon discover. Sealing humanity's fate was not the same as controlling it. Because when humans were cornered, when their very existence was threatened, they did not surrender. They unleashed everything, and the Empire had just opened the door to its own destruction. The stars above Earth glowed cold and distant, but the skies were no longer peaceful. Human warships filled orbit, preparing for what was to come. Engines roared, weapons were tested, and messages flowed between fleets. Earth was turning in two. A fortress in the command center, the former prisoner stood before a glowing map of the galaxy. His voice was calm, but every word carried weight. They will strike at Earth first. Their pride demands it. But they will not expect us to strike at them before they arrive. The officers around him listened. Some nodded. Others looked uneasy. Humanity had never launched an offensive war on this scale. It always fought to survive, never to conquer. But now, survival meant hitting the Empire before the Empire could crush them. The captain leaned forward. We know their fleet is assembling here. He pointed to a system deep in alien territory. If we strike there, we can cut them before they're ready. The prisoner's eyes narrowed. Then that is where we go. If we hesitate, Earth will burn. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. The coming battle would not be about one prisoner or even one fleet. It would decide if humanity would live or vanish under the Empire's heel. Across the Empire, their own preparations continued. Dozens of warships gathered in formation. Troops marched in endless lines. Factories thundered as weapons were forged. The Supreme Ruler stood upon a balcony, looking over his endless armies. Humanity believes it has power, he said coldly. We will remind them what true power is. But cracks had already begun to spread. Whispers reached him from conquered worlds. Races long enslaved by the Empire had heard what happened: the story of the prisoner, the rescue, and the destruction of the Empire's greatest warship. Many began to wonder. If humans could fight back, maybe others could too. On one such world, far from the Empire's capital, a group of rebels met in secret. They passed along the tale of the human who smiled in chains. They swore quietly that, if the humans struck again, they would rise when the moment came. The Empire did not see it yet, but the spark had already spread. Back in human space, the fleet launched. Thousands watched from Earth's surface as ships lifted into the sky, their engines burning like falling stars in reverse. Families wept, soldiers saluted, and leaders stood in silence. Everyone knew many would not return. Inside the flagship, the prisoner strapped on black combat armor. His scars were hidden beneath steel, but his eyes remained sharp, steady, unshaken. A soldier handed him a rifle. "Sir," he said, "we're with you." The prisoner nodded once. "Then we fight. Together." The fleet cut through the dark void, heading for the Empire's staging ground. Days passed in silence, broken only by drills and whispered conversations. Tension built with every hour. Everyone aboard knew what awaited them. Finally, the target system appeared ahead. Sensors lit up with hundreds of hostile signatures. The Empire's fleet was there, vast and terrible, stretching across the stars like a storm. The human officers stared at the screens. So many. Prisoner's voice was calm. "Good, then we won't have to waste time searching for them." Orders spread through the fleet. Weapons armed. Shields raised. Engines roared louder. Across every human vessel, soldiers strapped into their stations, hearts pounding, and knowing the moment of truth had come. And then, without warning, the Empire saw them. The alien commander of the staging fleet snarled when the human ships appeared on the scanners. "Impossible. They come here to us." Rage filled his voice. "Destroy them. tear them apart, but the humans struck first. From the blackness of space, missiles and beams lit up the void. Explosions erupted across the alien formation. Smaller, faster human ships darted between the massive enemy cruisers, striking where shields were weakest. Fighters swarmed like wasps, cutting through gaps before vanishing back into cover. The Empire answered with fury. Great cannons roared, entire. Human ships vanished in fire. The void became chaos light, flame, and death in every direction. On the flagship's bridge, the prisoner gripped the railing as the ship shook from impact. Press forward, he shouted. Cut through them, break their heart. The humans fought with desperation, but also with precision. Every strike was planned, every movement exact. They were outnumbered, but they were not outwilled. Hours felt like days. The battlefield burned, filled with shattered wreckage. Human ships fell, but alien vessels fell harder. And still, the humans pushed deeper, carving a path toward the center of the enemy fleet. Finally, the target appeared: the Empire's command ship. A monstrous vessel, towering above the rest, bristling with weapons. It was the heart of the staging fleet. Destroy it, and the Empire's assault would collapse. The prisoner's eyes locked on it. His voice was low, but fierce. That one. We end this with that one. The humans surged forward, all weapons focused. Alien guns thundered in reply. The clash shook the system itself, and as the two great forces collided, the galaxy watched in silence. For in that moment, the fate of empires rested on the fire of humanity's will. The void burned with fire. Human ships and alien ships clashed. In the endless dark, their weapons lighting the battlefield like false stars. Explosions tore across the black, leaving wrecks spinning silently into nothingness. The screams of dying crews echoed through coms before cutting off into silence. The human fleet pushed forward. But the cost was heavy. Frigates shattered under the impact of alien cannons. Cruisers split in half, their engines flaring one last time before they vanished. Every loss tightened the noose, but still the humans fought, teeth clenched, hearts unbroken. On the human flagship, alarms blared as enemy fire hammered its shields. Sparks rained from the ceiling, consoles flickered, but no one faltered. The center of the bridge stood the former prisoner, his voice sharp and steady. Hold the line, push through. That command ship is the key. The captain looked at him. We can't take much more. The prisoner's eyes narrowed. Then, we don't take it. We break it. The crew stared for a moment, but no one argued. His voice carried something that cut deeper than orders. It carried certainty. Meanwhile, on the Empire's massive command vessel, the alien admiral watched the battle with a snarl. His fleet was enormous, his weapons unmatched, but the humans did not fall the way others had. They fought like fire itself, spreading, consuming, impossible to stamp out. Why don't they retreat? He demanded. Why don't they yield? No one answered. The admiral slammed a clawed hand against the console. Crush them. Show them what the Empire does to defiance. Cannons roared. Human ships burned. But with every blow, the Empire landed. The humans answered with one of their own. The prisoner leaned forward, gripping the edge of the console. His voice dropped low. They think numbers will break us. They don't understand. They've never fought something that refuses to die. Words became reality in the battle outside. Small human ships darted between the Empire's heavy cruisers, striking engines, cutting weapons apart before vanishing back into the smoke of wreckage. They fought like wolves, harrying giants, and slowly cracks began to appear. Enemy flanks, weakening. A human officer shouted. The prisoner's eyes locked on the great alien command ship, still towering above the battle like a mountain. Its guns flashed, its shields glowed, but it stood as the symbol of Empire strength. Destroy it, and the Empire's pride would collapse. Every ship we have left, he ordered, focus fire. That one falls, or we all fall. The humans obeyed. Cruisers turned, fighters swarmed, every missile and cannon aimed at the command vessel. Beams lanced across the dark, Explosions rippled across its hull. Shields held barely, but each hit left scars. Inside, the alien admiral roared. Dare strike me? Focus everything. Erase them. The command ship's guns fired in fury. Human vessels vanished in flashes of flame. Entire squadrons were wiped out. Yet still, the humans pressed forward. The flagship shuddered under impact. The captain turned to the prisoner. At this rate, we won't survive long enough to break. Them? The prisoner's jaw tightened. His voice was steel. And I go, the captain froze. What do you mean? The prisoner's gaze was locked on the enemy's command ship. They took me once, they thought it made them strong. I'll show them what one human truly means. Get me close enough, and I'll end it. The bridge fell silent. They all knew. What he meant, single strike, from within, where no weapon could reach. A sacrifice. The captain shook his head. You wouldn't make it out. The prisoner's expression did not change. I wasn't supposed to make it out the first time. This isn't about me. It's about all of us. For a moment, no one spoke, and the captain gave a single heavy nod. We'll get you there. The order spread. Human ships turned, fighting with desperate fury to carve a path through the Empire's wall of steel. They paid in blood and fire, but slowly. The flagship pushed closer to the massive alien vessel. The admiral on the command ship saw it and sneered. They charge us? Fools. End them. Cannons tore through the dark, striking the flagship again and again. Metal screamed. Fires erupted. Still it pressed forward. On board, the prisoner stood ready, armored and armed, his eyes calm as the walls. Shook around him. He remembered the cell, the chains, the torture. He remembered the smile that had unsettled them. And he remembered the promise that humans never left their own behind. Now he would keep that promise for all of them. The flagship broke through the last of the alien defenses. The Empire's command vessel loomed before them, a mountain of steel and fire. Boarding pods ready, the captain said, voice heavy. The prisoner nodded once. Then this ends tonight. The pods launched. They streaked through the void, glowing like meteors. Alarms screamed across the Empire's command ship as they slammed into its hull. Metal tore. Doors burst open, and humans poured inside. The prisoner was among the first, and as his boots struck the enemy's steel floor, the battle changed. The fleet of the Empire had never been so quiet. Their ships floated in dark space like shadows, hiding behind a dying star. For days, the commanders whispered only one word: humans. No one said it loud, as if the very sound could bring danger. Inside the prison vessel, alarms had gone silent. Doors sealed and corridors empty.
Ow.
The human prisoner was gone, not killed. Not escaped, taken. The guards who had dragged him to the interrogation room never returned. The chamber itself looked as if some invisible storm had torn through its walls. Bent inward, screens melted, blood on the floor, but no bodies left behind. Cameras showed nothing. The recording cut in static every time someone tried to replay the moment. Panic spread among the crew. Some believed the human had powers. Others swore he had been rescued by an unseen fleet. A few whispered the darkest. Fear that the prisoner never needed rescue, because he was only waiting for the right moment. Admiral Sarikar called a war council. His scaled claws shook as he slammed the table. We face something beyond war. The human is not lost. He is hunting. Already, ships on the outer rim report vanishing. Whole crews gone. No wreckage, no distress signal. Only silence. The council. Chamber grew colder. The Empire had armies, fleets, and weapons that burned worlds. But this was something different. Reports came one after another. An outpost reduced to ruins. Patrol squadron erased without trace. On the surface of an occupied planet, Imperial soldiers found messages carved into steel walls in a language they did not understand. The humans later translated it, "I am coming." Fear turned into desperation. Commanders argued whether to abandon whole sectors. Governors begged for reinforcements. But every reinforcement that left the core worlds failed to return. Admiral Sarikar knew the truth forming in every mind one human. Taken prisoner had become their curse. The Empire had thought him weak, thought humanity unimportant. Now the Empire itself was bleeding in the shadows. The worst news came when the High Command intercepted a transmission. It was not coded in their language. It was human. And it was. Not from one voice. It was from many. It said, "You took one of us. Now you face all of us." The chamber shook with silence. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Empire felt the cold taste of fear. The prisoner was not just a man. He was a signal, spark. And his people were already here. The stars themselves seemed to grow darker, as if hiding what was about to arrive. The Empire's capital world burned under a sky filled with shadows. Great defense grids that once guarded the system were silent. Their guns turned to face nothing. No alarms rang. No orders came. The command structure had collapsed before the first human fleet even arrived. In the beginning, the Empire had thought the escape of one human was a mistake, a minor breach. Then it became a nightmare: fleets vanishing, governors assassinated, and colonies falling without a single battle. Now, entire sectors had gone dark, not from invasion, but from surrender. Admiral Sarikar stood in the war hall, watching holograms of their empire flicker red. System after system lost. Ports claimed humans were everywhere. Ports also claimed they were nowhere. Rumors spread like fire that humans could not be tracked, that their ships bent reality, that they struck from shadows and disappeared before scanners registered them. In truth, the Empire never understood. Humanity had not sent just fleets. They had sent a promise. We do not forget. The human prisoner had been the first message. His escape, his strikes, his silent warnings, they had been the opening act. What followed was not war. It was reckoning. Above the capital, a massive shadow emerged. Not one ship, but hundreds. Human vessels, shaped like daggers, black against the stars, moved in silence. They did not send a demand for surrender. They did not send mercy. A single broadcast filled every channel of the Empire. You thought one of us was nothing? Now you see what we are together. The first strike came swift and brutal. Human weapons cut through shields the Empire thought unbreakable. Cities turned to ash. Towers crumbled. Millions stared into the fire as their empire's heart was torn open. But the humans did not destroy everything. They left fragments behind, ruins, survivors, memories. They wanted the galaxy to remember. By the next dawn, the Empire no longer existed. Its banners were ash, its fleets scattered, its rulers gone. It's the galaxy. Once silent in fear of the Empire, now whispered only one name: humanity. In the end, the humans did not claim the capital. They did not build upon its ruins. They left it burning, a grave of arrogance, a warning carved in the stars: never take one of us again. So the galaxy changed forever. Fear of the Empire was gone. Fear of humanity had taken its place.